Welcome back, everyone. Just a reminder that I'm joined by Jeremy Duncombe, Managing Director of Accord Mortgages and recent Chair of IMLA. In this part, we're going to be focusing more on the world of new build. So, Jeremy, I want to get straight into it. Affordability, we discussed that in part one. But where do you think that's going to lead to affordable housing schemes and allowing first-time buyers to get on the ladder in 2024?
Yeah, so I think first-time buyers, that what we're seeing is the demand is definitely still there. We've seen, although the market dropped significantly in 2023, the share of, or the proportion of first-time buyers who we lent to last year was actually slightly higher than the year before.
Okay.
So the volume was down, but the share of tough first-time buyers was higher. So I think it shows that there is still demand. The two challenges that first-time buyers obviously have been deposit and affordability. And with the removal of Help to Buy, that affected the affordability right at the wrong time.
Yeah.
If you look at when Help to Buy disappeared, it was literally at the same time as the mini budget in 2022. So that meant that rates were going up, Help to Buy had gone, and affordability was a real problem. So even those who had a deposit couldn't hit their affordability, and we also know there's obviously a challenge on deposits as well. The Bank of Mum and Dad, Bank of Grandma and Granddad, is more and more at play than it's ever been, significantly helping people. But not everybody has that luck or that fortune of having parents or grandparents that can help them. So, there are two fundamental challenges for first-time buyers. Family can help some of it, but affordability is the underlying problem. So, where we've got things like Deposit Unlock, which is a scheme that we do. A few lenders are involved in Deposit Unlock now. That does help, but it doesn't help the problem with affordability. It helps with deposit, and it helps people get into a property, if they can have that 5% deposit, but it doesn't help on affordability. Some of the other schemes that come through, again, help with deposit, but not with affordability. So I think the gap at the moment is affordability. I personally, and it is a personal view, I can't speak as on the wider behalf of either Accord or even IMLA, but I do feel there's an opportunity for a version of Help to Buy to come back, and it'd be interesting to see in the March budget whether there is anything ahead of a general election which starts to help first-time buyers get onto the ladder. Yes, there were challenges with Help to Buy. Yes, it potentially inflated house prices and people bought bigger properties, but it really did help first-time buyers into houses, and most of those are in a good state now. Now, it may be that we have something which is not just for first-time buyers, not just for new build properties, but helps first-time buyers get on the ladder. It would need looking at again. But lenders like the scheme. It's very easy to do for lenders to dust that off the shelf and bring it back. And I think that's some of the challenges with other schemes, is that they're either quite difficult to administer or quite complex. And from a risk point of view, lenders need something that's easy to administer and is easy to play out long term.
Okay, so you mentioned Deposit Unlock. Do you think it's going to get any more traction in 2024?
I think if affordability reduces, so with rates dropping, I think it has a better place in the market. Okay. I say it was really difficult because Help to Buy ended, Deposit Unlock came in, and it was solving a different problem. It was solving a problem on deposit when affordability was the issue. I think if affordability becomes easier, then Deposit Unlock really does help. So I am hoping that scheme will support this year. But there is other stuff that lenders can do in terms of innovation. How we look at our affordability, for example, on green products. So for first-time buyers buying a new build, the green initiatives can actually help there. So a new build property is cheaper to heat, for example. So could that be reflected in affordability? There's a number of things that lenders can do in terms of that type of innovation, as opposed to bringing in specific products. But things like our Cascade score as well, that does work. That helps boost up first-time buyers' ability to borrow higher loan to value. So there is innovation, but I would like to see something potentially in terms of a replacement for Help to Buy.
So I appreciate you may not have it, or you may not even be able to talk about it, but there's lots of different things going on, equity-based stuff being talked about, as you mentioned, maybe something to come in and replace Help to Buy. Is there anything that Accord are looking at that you can talk about?
That I can talk about, no.
Sorry, viewers. Sorry.
But no, I think lenders in general will be looking this year at how they can support first-time buyers. I think it's a really important part of the market. It's a really important market for brokers as well, because first-time buyers, new build, are really driven by brokers.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lender like ourselves, which is just intermediary only, working with our brokers to support first-time buyers, it's a real nice relationship all round, and it's something we want to continue to innovate in and try and support.
Okay, well, hopefully, maybe at some point this year, we'll get you back with some exciting news.
Yeah.
So, shared ownership, and I appreciate Accord aren't in that space. Do you think it's something that you want to be in, or will look at in the future?
Yeah, I think it's a really important scheme. We don't do it at the moment, but certainly in terms of how it's helped the market, that does help on affordability, and it does help get people on the ladder. And I do, personally think if someone get even a foot on the ladder, that helps in the future. The big problem we have as UK PLC effectively is if people stay in rented for too long, don't get on the housing ladder, they're not starting to build up equity, they're not starting to build up wealth which they may want to use in the future, particularly as you go into retirement. So if you're a first time buyer and you don't start buying until you're in your 40s, with a 30-year term, you're already in your 70s by the time that mortgage comes to fruition. So, getting on the housing ladder earlier, even if it's with a share as opposed to a full purchase, starts to get you to benefit from whatever house price appreciation is likely to be over time. So I do think it's a good scheme. I think it's got a place, and it does help the affordability. And I do think as things move forward, it continues to be a really important scheme for the market.
Okay, so do you think Accord will look at it?
At what point can I say no comment?
Okay, fine, no comment. Okay, so I think, we've talked about different schemes, we've talked about brokers. As we move into 2024, do you think that the job of a broker is more difficult? Do you think they're even more important than ever?
Yeah, I think it's been a really difficult job, particularly for the last 18 months. You could argue that for the previous sort of 5-6 years, it was a very similar conversation that you could have. It was still very important. Brokers have always been a really important part of the market, and now with a sort of 80-85% share, customers are looking for advice on their biggest commitment. But I think in the last 18 months, it's become even more important, more difficult, and more time consuming. And I really do put my thanks out there to what brokers have done in the last 18 months, because steering customers through a really difficult period of time that probably a lot of brokers haven't seen before. A lot of customers who've bought in the last 5 years won't have seen rates going up and affordability being squeezed and not knowing where base rate was going to go. Some really difficult conversations. What I'm hoping into 2024 is that we've seen the peak. It is much easier advising in a downward market or a flat market, and customers then can be really helped to find the best product. And I think now the really good questions and really the need for advice comes down to the type of mortgage you want. Is it a tracker? Is it a fixed? Is it 2 year? Is it 5 year? Is it even a lifetime? There's so many things that still need to be advised, and it's a topical subject. You now see mortgages talked about on the news all the time, where they never used to be. So I think there's a much bigger awareness. The job of a broker and lenders is to make sure our customers can see that it is something for them, particularly with prices dropping and starting with maybe a 4 now on average. That helps. We need to get that message across that you should have another look. It may be more affordable than it was 6-12 months ago. There is a lot of choice out there, and a broker can steer you through that. So it's a vital job. It's really, really important, and I hope in the next 12 months it will become something that's easy to get people on the housing ladder because of affordability improvements.
Cool, brilliant. Well, thank you, Jeremy. Finally, is there anything that you would say to the brokers watching this out there right now?
Yeah, and it's nothing new. Stuff I've been talking and banging on about for years. The customer isn't the customer doesn't feel they're owned by anybody. It's who they have a relationship with, and I think just looking after that customer long term. And we've seen that more than ever recently. those long-term relationships where the customer really trusts and values you. This isn't about contacting them once every 5 years or when their product comes up. It's having a long-term relationship all the way through the deal, and then they will come back to you and stay with you. So, look after your clients, look after your client bank, have a really good retention strategy. A little bit of a plug, but have a look at what we've got on the Accord Growth Series. There's some great stuff on there.
Okay.
It's all free. It's on our website, and it's a library of content that really supports brokers with growing and developing their business. So things like how to have a great retention strategy, how to proactively contact brokers, what to do. There's tons of really good stuff on there. It's all free. But I think there's that proactivity, customer relationships, and having a great retention strategy.
Brilliant, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Jeremy. Well, that brings to a close this episode of In Talks with JD. It feels like there are still challenges ahead, but maybe, just maybe, more green shoots are emerging. Hello everyone, if you're enjoying the episodes of In Talks with JD, please check out our YouTube channel where we've got all the episodes in one place.